I've had enough. Like, honestly. And in some ways, I get that there's nothing that anybody who works for the Giants can do about this on a day in and day out basis. There's nothing you can do about the roster that the Dodgers have built. There's nothing you can do about how good Mookie Betts is. You could dot Max Muncy. You could. I mean, I'm not in favor of that. I know in baseball circles, like I had a conversation years ago when I was doing play-by-play at a minor league baseball team. Okay? Thank you. So I talked to a guy, and I'll name him because he made it to the show for 2 seconds, and then that was it for his career. His name is Greg Jones. He pitched for the Angels a number of years ago. And I remember having a conversation with him because when he was in the minors, same team that we were working for, there was it was like the first or second game of a 4-game series. And you had a team that just hung one on him, put up 17 runs in a game or whatever. And he was a reliever, and he came in the 8th inning, and he just hucked a 95er right off the guy's thigh. Just, and here come, okay, boys will be boys. Everybody's going to pound their chest a little bit. All right, calm down. Everybody get back in the dugout and go to first. And I think fans are always like, you don't know. Did you do that on purpose? Did you not? I always think this. Do guys miss their spot? Yes. Do Major League Baseball pitchers also? Can they hit a spider 60 feet away? Yes, they can. So if you hit someone in the thick of the thigh with a fastball, did you do that on purpose? Probably is the answer. So I get into a conversation with him. I'm like, well, what's going on there? He didn't do anything. There wasn't anything going on in the game. There was no controversy. So what's going on? He looks at me. He's like, yeah, I dotted him on purpose. And I said, why? He goes, because this is the second game of a 4-game series, and their whole team was just too damn comfortable. They're too comfy in the box. They got to make them uncomfortable. And I think in today's baseball, people are a little uncomfortable with that idea, but that stuff happens. It happens. And so could you make the case Max Muncy, for whatever reason, is too comfy at Oracle? He is way too comfortable. Because the ball, last night, Lair, I'm sitting there, lovely Christy and I, my sons, were watching the game. The second he walks the plate with the bases loaded, I looked at her, I go, here comes the grand slam. Before I even got slammed out of, whack, there it goes, left field, bleachers. You could set your watch to it. So I'm not saying they got to hit the guy tonight, but something has got to change because these games, for a Giants fan, are unbearable. Yeah. They're unbearable.
Well, he's so easy to not like.
It is unbearable to watch them play the Dodgers right now with the gap that is between these two lineups.
Max Muncy has 23 home runs in 73 games against the Giants. 23 home runs.
You know what my answer is?
That's a 50 home run pace.
I know, but I don't remember the 50 games in which he did not homer. I don't remember them. It feels like he homers every other at bat.
He's like a batting champion. The guy's like, looks like Tony Gwynn and Wade Boggs and Rod Carew and all these guys all built into one. No, I mean, Max Muncy, I agree. And you don't have to go up and in, but how about down and in? How about dust him? How about make him leave his feet? And at least, and you know what? If you do it, the benches are going to empty because they're going to know it's a message because that's how obvious it is that he owns them. But I mean, seriously, next time the Giants have an ownership meeting, maybe send Muncy an invite because he owns them. I mean, next time you're going to sign somebody, get Muncy's approval. Now, I don't know what to say about the Giants and the Dodgers right now. And Muncy's kind of an interesting guy because he's kind of their Farhan move.
He's a Farhan guy.
Right.
Farhan did find him.
Right.
He literally found him and put him there.
Yeah. But the Giants, I think what it really comes down to is the Giants have to, right now, it's one thing for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I looked it up. The Dodgers have like $570 million in annual revenue, right? They have huge revenue. They have a lot more revenue than the Giants. But the Padres are AJ Preller and the Padres ownership are going after every major fish that's on the market. Free agency, they're interested. They had an offer for Judge.
Yep.
They went after Soto. Their team that's going to be after Ohtani. They are saying, you know what, we are going after the top tier players. Then you go on to the next level, Mark, which are the international players. The Padres are throwing big money around in the international market. I think they got the top international guy this year. So it's time for the Giants to go pursue the best baseball players on the planet at every level. So international market, they got to be competitive. Free agent market, they got to be competitive. Trade market, they got to be competitive. And then if they want to mix in Farhan's 26th man and 39th and 40th man shenanigans and shopping, and this guy goes and that guy comes, that's fine. You can do that as well. There's nothing against turning over the bottom of your roster looking for incremental improvement. That's great. But it has to be in addition to you're going after foundation piece guys. And it's like the Giants make a couple of forays into Latin America for big-time guys. It doesn't work out. You know, Estelona and Lucius Fox out of the Bahamas and a couple other guys, and they don't do it, and then they get cold feet, and they don't want to do it again. It's like, you have to continually go after the best players in every category, or you have no chance of winning.
The Padre thing is something I want to respond to, but let's also hear from our listeners. 888-957-9570. Gus is in Tracy. You're on with Willard and Larry. And hi, Gus. What are you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, what's up?
Good. I love the show. I've been a Giants fan since 1964, and I'm so disgusted in the way they're running the way they're running this. Why don't they just have one player play one position and leave him there for the season instead of having 10 games? They already have 3 guys play first base.
Well, Gus, let me jump in right away, and then we'll let you continue. Gus, I'm going to guess you've been a baseball fan for a really, really long time, and I know that when things don't work, people's immediate response is, well, let's just go back to the way it used to be. Nobody plays baseball that way anymore. Yes, Mookie Betts gets right field. Correct. There are a handful of those players in baseball. But I want you to watch the way the Dodgers play. They don't just grab 8 guys and stick them at the same position all year long. They got a couple more than the Giants do. The Giants need some of that. But the days are gone of this is our starting 8. You understand that, right?
Right. I do, and then I don't. And I think the fact that we've been one of the worst defensive teams, I think it has to stem with the fact that the guys are playing. He's playing second base one day, he's playing third, then he's out in the outfield. I just think that for maybe so that you're right. I'm sure you're right, but there's got to be a point where you got to leave a guy there for a certain amount of time so he gets comfortable. He knows he's going to play at first. He knows he's going to get his at bats. He's going to feel comfortable at the plate instead of coming in and going, okay, where am I going to play today? It's like for instance, if my work, if I came into work every single day and I didn't know what I was going to do, I'd be really, really frustrated. Well, I probably wouldn't do a very good job.
Yeah, Gus, I'd say this, like that conversation came up last year with Jock Peterson, and Jock was the first one to say, he's like, y'all understand that this is what I signed up here to do. Like, Jock Peterson would not make the All-Star team if you put him out there against left-handers consistently because he doesn't do it very well. So they are going to have a couple of those guys. My sense is, if blessed with health, Conforto and Haniger are going to be the corner outfielders. And you'll get a day off here or there when it's not the right night, like Conforto last night. But the days of just like go play 158 games in left field, Barry Bonds, hitters aren't built that way anymore.
Well, I don't know about
that. Very
few of them. I mean, let's take a look at the Atlanta Braves. Look at the Braves lineup. They got Sean Murphy behind the plate. He's pretty much an everyday guy. You got Matt Olson at first base. He's an everyday guy. You got Ozzie Albies at second base. He's an everyday guy. Austin Riley's playing third. He's an everyday guy. They've got Acuna in the outfield. He's an everyday guy. They got Ozuna as the DH. He's an everyday. So there are teams that have everyday guys. But I think Mark's overall point is right, is that the era of like, you're going to have, those are my 8, and I just run them out there. I don't even look. I don't even fill out a lineup. I just keep putting the same guys out there like it's the 75 Reds or something. No, those days have come and gone. People are looking for incremental advantages. But Gabe was asked about this in spring training. He said, I got five everyday regulars. And then when you asked him to name them, he's like, well, Tyro, okay, Crawford. And it's like
they've given VR third base for right now.
VR,
he looks good.
He's got power. Definitely Conforto is going to be an everyday guy,
and Haniger will be if he ever plays.
Right, Haniger if he's healthy. But I mean, they're really struggling to get those 5 guys. I mean, it might be more like 3.5, and even. I mean, like, you talk to some Giants people, they think Crawford would be best served sitting against some of the tougher lefties. The problem right now is that the Giants have no right-handed bats to counter all these really good lefties, like Urias, like Kershaw, who they're going to face in this series, like that kid Freeland from Colorado. I mean, the Giants don't have right-handed bats to counter that. So, I mean, in an ideal world, I think Casey Schmidt might get called up at some point, and then Villar could be an everyday first baseman. But they're platooning at first. They're platooning in a couple spots in the outfield. They definitely don't have an answer behind the plate. In an ideal world, you got foundation piece guys, and some teams have more than others. I named one in the Braves that have a lot, but there's a lot of teams that look a lot like the Giants right now, where they've got a lefty lineup and they got a righty lineup.
Yep, and you mentioned. For the Padres are an interesting case because they right now, they get compared to the Giants a lot because they're the anti-Giants, right? The Padres just grab every dollar they have and they walk out in the street with a fan and just throw it up into the air. That's what they do. But they also have what the Giants don't have, which is they are loaded with fun. They are there's music. And there's people at Petco. It's a party. There's beer. There's brightly colored City Connect jerseys, and seemingly a good player at the dish almost every time they call someone up there. Now, I do want people to understand the business model of that. The Padres are doing something that's very similar to what the Los Angeles Rams did in the last few years.
Selling out to go right now.
If you're available and we've heard of you, the answer is yes. And we'll pay you whatever the hell you want. Get on over here. Bogarts, how many guys do they have right now that have the 9-figure deals? Is it 7?
I mean, Cronenworth, Machado, Bogarts, Soto, right? Tatis. And
on.
And then, of course, Yu Darvish and Blake Snell.
And they tried for Judge. Yeah. They tried for Judge. So they're doing that for a very specific reason. You think, they're trying to win. Remember their market. The Chargers left and the Padres as a group, and they've done a great job of this. Same way as the Rams, it's all about relocation. You come to a market, it's a little bit depressed. You don't sell out. You don't even have what's considered a healthy fan base. You go, name, glitz, money, bing, bring them in. Now, the Rams got a Super Bowl out of it. But take a look at them now. I think they're going to be paying the piper for 5 years. The Padres are going to get there too. They will. So that's, to me, a little bit more circumstantial than when you compare them to the Dodgers. When the Dodgers have health everywhere. Big names, great farm system, big money, sustainability.
I know, but I mean, come on, Mark, you're going to hang a flag in center field that says fiscal responsibility? I mean, seriously, what are we doing here?
I'm not saying it's right. No, I'm not saying it's right.
I'll tell you it's a frustrating situation. I would say this. What's screaming fans angry as opposed to what's a fair assessment? To me, we sit in front of a microphone. I think it's imperative that we always remain as fair as we can be, because that's all we got, sure. Right? So what's fair? To me, what's fair is not that the Giants spend dollar for dollar with the Dodgers, Mark. It's that they spend the same percentage of their revenue on baseball that the Dodgers spent. And I looked at it last year. The Dodgers spent like 52% of their total revenue pie on player payroll. The Giants spent like 42% or 45%. The difference was about $22 million. Now, the Giants finished 500 last year, 30 games behind L.A. But if they had spent those $22 million on players, they probably could have had 3 or 4 more real good players, at least 2 really good players. And I think if you had had 2 really good players to the Giants last year, they might have been a playoff team. So all I really want as a Giants fan is, if you want to, I asked this question the other day, what is the plan? And a lot of people are like, well, they're going to wait until their system's spitting out players, and then they're really going to engage in the free agent market. And that sounds logical. But I think when you look at how much it costs to go there and how expensive the entertainment is and how much money, you should not be making an $80 million profit on a year where your team was borderline unwatchable. Spend the same percentage of your revenue, whatever that is, that the Dodgers spend, and that's probably going to mean spending another $20 million. The fact of the matter is the Giants have, let's say, 35 owners. They made $70 million. So each owner got a nice little, if they all had even shares, got a nice little $2 million check back from last year, in addition to the growth of the franchise value. In a year where it was the most boring team ever, that nobody went in the second half of the year for the most part, and they barely finished 500, you should not be making a profit when you're barely finishing 500. So to me, the Giants have to get out of this A's model of we're crap, but we make money, and that's why we're all content. And I'd like to see the ownership group, and I don't know if they will, because maybe getting a $2 million check is enough incentive to go, I guess I can go another year with Farhan and Gabe. I got a $2 million check. They didn't ask me to cut a check. They sent me a check. So maybe the owners are in that mindset. But if they have any competitive fire to them at all, they have to look at the Dodgers and the Padres and the Diamondbacks, and all those teams have younger, better players and a much brighter future, it seems like, and just say, hey, guys, we may have to take some losses here financially in the present to compete with these guys, to keep this thing rolling, because the hardest thing to do, Mark, is reestablish momentum after you've lost it. And the Giants are teetering right there. And by the end of this year, if they're empty house, friends and family all throughout August and September, it's going to be a lot more difficult to attract Ohtani or any other free agent. It's going to be a lot more difficult to attract fans. They have to somehow not lose their momentum and slide back and be viewed as kind of on a lower level, or it's going to take years to dig out.